Justus Lipsius, also known as Joost Lips 1547–1606, was an influential Belgian humanist, philosopher and philologist. He is considered one of the greatest scholars of the 16th century and one of the founders on Neostoicism, a moral and political philosophy that combined classical Stoic elements with Christianity. Video approach, De Constantia, is Stoic dialogue that became a manifesto of Neostoicism. The work was written during a period of intense religious and political struggles in the Netherlands, which greatly influenced the thinking of Justus Lipsius. He sought a philosophy that could help people face the challenges of the time. Lipsius was inspired by the philosophy of Seneca, especially his work, De Vita Beata, to build his argument. De Constantia is one of the first attempts to combine classical Stoicism with Christianity, giving rise to Neostoicism. Constantia extolled the importance of constancy and virtue in times of the adversity, as a way of dealing with public calamities. Lipsius addresses concepts of divine providence and destiny, arguing that everything that happens is governed by logical necessity. Lipsius highlights the decay and destruction of all temporal things as an example of natural necessity. Lipsius acknowledges the existence of atrocities and cruelties in history but interprets them as divinely sanctioned disasters as part of God's plan for the world. Interestingly, he seeks to show that the evils of the present are no worse than the evils of the past, seeking to console his readers. Lipsius, through his Neo-Stoic philosophy, seeks to strengthen resilience and virtue in his readers, encouraging them to maintain constancy in the face of difficulties. It is interesting to note that Lipsius' view of natural disasters can be controversial. However, it is essential to understand the historical context and religious beliefs of the time. Furthermore, the combination of Stoicism and Christianity is an innovative aspect of and in philosophy. Neo-Stoicism had great influence on European thought, offering a new perspective on ethics and politics. This video also addresses a brief analysis that follows. It is a text video which suggests research and reflections. As previously mentioned, Lipsius relied on Seneca, the Roman philosopher, and on Greek Stoicism. Seneca's philosophy, especially his work De Vita Beata, is a great influence on De Constantia. Lipsius shares with Seneca the idea that reason and virtue are paths to happiness and mental tranquility. The fusion of Stoicism with Christianity giving rise to Neo-Stoicism, which is a philosophical current that seeks to reconcile classical Stoicism with Christianity. In De Constantia, he incorporates elements of the Christian faith, such as the belief in divine providence and the need for submission to God's will. This fusion between reason and faith is a striking characteristic of Neo-Stoicism. Reason ratio is central to Lipsius' philosophy. It is the faculty that allows to distinguish between good and evil, true and false, and reason is thus the guide to liberation from false opinions and disordered desires, in order to achieve inner peace. Passions and emotions affectus are seen as obstacle to constancy and happiness. Lipsius follows the Stoic tradition in defending the need to control passions through reason. Desire cupidates, joy gaudium, fear metus, and pain dolor are emotions that can disturb the balance of the soul and divert the individual from the path of virtue. Patience, which is the virtue or scented as the hand of constancy, is through this virtue that the individual learns to endure adversity with serenity. Lipsius emphasizes the importance of accepting God's will in the course of events. For the Neo-Stoic, everything that happens in the world is part of a higher, divine plan that escapes comprehension. By accepting reality, the individual can achieve peace. The disdain despectus about worldly things. The Neo-Stoicism encourages not to overvalue material goods, power and fame. These are ephemeral and fleeting goods. De Constantia was written in the form of dialogue. The dialogue between Lipsius and his friend Langius serves as a didactic resource to present the principles of Neo-Stoicism in a clear and accessible way. Lipsius criticized the philosophy of his time, considering it excessively subtle and complex. He sought a simpler and more practical philosophy, to be applied in everyday life, and that. Lipsius' historical sources. Seneca and Epictetus are central figures. but Lipsius demonstrated a deep knowledge of other Stoic, such as Diogenes and Laertius. It is interesting to note that the Roman were central to the formation of his thought, as was common. We also have the influence of the Greeks. He handed deep knowledge of ancient philosophy, Plato, Philo, Judæus, Apulio, Pseudo-Hermes Trismegistus. The thinkers does not neglect Christian thought, even citing the scriptures and variety of Latin father, boot Greek and Latin, such as Clement of Alexandria, Tertullian, Manuductionis Felix, Lactantius, Eusebio and St. Augustine. He also includes in the work later Christian writers, such as Osorius and Isidore of Seville. Lipsius does not use these sources simply to obtain historical or philosophical information. He uses them to demonstrate the continued interest of the Stoic philosophy. Throughout the centuries, the vast array of sources indicate that Lipsius' thought was shaped by a complex interplay of ideas. This eclecticism is a characteristic of his thought. Platonic epistemology in Lipsius people. This is important contrary to the Stoic belief, being an exponent of Stoicism, contrary to the Stoic belief that God and nature can be understood only by human reason. He adopts a Platonic epistemology more aligned with Christianity. This epistemology defends that the understanding of God and his works is a divine gift, a grace granted by God. Divine grace and wisdom for him. Wisdom is not achieved only by human rational effort, but also by divine grace. God enlightens the human mind, allowing it to understand the truth. This view distances itself from the Stoic belief in the self-sufficiency of human reason. The path to wisdom. Despite the importance of divine grace, Lipsius recognizes that the path to wisdom also requires human effort. He argues that human conduct must follow rules established by nature that can be discovered through reason. Lipsius emphasizes the complementarity between philosophical doctrines and moral virtues and the good life practice. Both are necessary to achieve virtues in the good life. Stoic philosophy provides an understanding of the world and the supreme good, while moral practice guide human conduct. Lipsius, citing Seneca, states that living in accordance with nature is the same as living with joy. Joy is therefore a sign that life is in harmony with the natural and divine order. The adoption of Plato's epistemology demonstrates an attempt to reconcile Stoicism with Christianity. He seeks to integrate human reason with divine faith, showing that both are important to achieve wisdom and virtue. Well, my dear seekers, if you have reached I's chapter of the video, I will be giving a general summary. First of all, I hope you understand how complicated it was to provide this little information about Justus Lipsius. Well, 3. Stop messing around and let's get to the facts. The later writing of Lipsius, a study of Stoicism. Justus Lipsius, particularly focusing on his work Manuductionis ad Stoican Philosophian Liber Trace. Following the success of his early work De Constantia, Lipsius dedicated himself to the study and popularization of Stoicism, recognizing the increasing interest in ancient moral philosophy. This document dives into Lipsius' motivation, the structure of his writings, and their significance in the context of Stoicism's revival in the 17th century. After the success of the De Constantia, Lipsius did not rest on his laurels. He continued to devote himself to the study and popularization of Stoicism, recognizing the growing demand for works on ancient moral philosophy. Justin Montaigne had expressed the desire for a comprehensive account of ancient philosophical views on being and morality. Lipsius fight Copil to provide such an account, particularly regarding Stoicism. Fearing that his poor health would prevent him from completing his edition and commentary on Seneca, Lipsius made the decision to publish his works early. Among these were Manuductionis ad Stoicam Philosophian, Guide to Stoic Philosophy and Physiologia Stoicorum, Physical Theory of the Stoics, both published in 1604. In these 2 treatises, Lipsius aimed to reconstruct a coherent philosophical system of Stoicism, emphasizing the compatibility between Stoicism and Christian doctrine, as they had done in De Constantia. Structure of Manuductionis ad Stoicam Philosophy. Manuductionis ad Stoicam Philosophy, Liber Trace represents an effort by Lipsius to present the main concepts and principles of Stoic philosophy in a clear and organized manner. The work is divided into 3 books. Book 1. An Introduction to Stoic Philosophy, addressing his history, main authors and fundamental concepts. Book 2. A presentation of Stoic ethics, focusing on virtues, passions and the role of reason. Book 3. A discussion of Stoic physics, including cosmology, the nature of the soul and the concept of fate. Legacy of Lipsius's later writings. Lipsius's later writing, with a particular emphasis on Manuductionis ad Stoicam philosophy, represent an important legacy for the history of Stoicism. His works contributed significantly to the rediscovery and diffusion of Stoic philosophy in the 17th century, influencing both philosophical thought and the integration of Stoic principles into Christian doctrine. In conclusion, Lipsius's comment to Stoicism and his effort to articulate its principle in a structured manner have left a lasting impact on the philosophical landscape, ensuring that Stoicism remained a relevant and influential school of thought in the century that followed.